So I'm just coming out for a look around here, the home apiary. At the moment, just checking the bees. And you can see the ground is very wet. Extremely wet. We've had a lot of rainfall over the last number of weeks. But it's quite mild. And so there's a lot of activity out of the hives today. Mostly, I suppose, bees gathering water to bring in to break down their stores. A lot of ivy honey that has to be broken down. The bees need to access that to rear their brood, and that's, I suppose, essentially where they need the water to help break it down. But there's plenty of activity. Some pollen going in, but not much now. Actually, there's some there, I see. But it's good to see the activity. It's a good sign. If you see pollen going into colonies, it's a good sign as to what is hopefully going on inside. So I'm quite pleased that most of the colonies seem to be showing good signs. And now I think I'm going to take a run to one of my out apiaries just to have a look at the hives there. And I'll bring you with me on that. Here at one of the out apiaries. I have five hives here and 2 nukes. This site, I used to have more hives in it, but I suppose I let them dwindle back over the last couple of years, but I'm hoping just to build this site back up. I have a couple of colonies in the home apiary that I can move here in the early spring, but I won't be doing that obviously until I can assess them, firstly for viability and secondly for disease. So then the plan is to move a number of hives. I'd like to build this site back up to 10 or 12 colonies for this summer. These colonies are quite good. The nukes for sure are starting to brood already. There's a little bit of activity. Out of some of them. Even though we're into the late evening now. So yeah, as I said, just the plan is obviously to build the numbers back up here. I'm sort of saturated at the home apiary at the moment, so the plan is to move a number of colonies from there to here rather than splitting these colonies and building them up, building all the colonies up here to produce a crop of honey. But I always get a good crop of honey here, and it's nice mixed a mixed floral crop, so if I have enough colonies here to tap into that resource, then I should get a good crop. So I just wanted to have a quick chat with you about starter strips. Now, I've used starter strips myself. I like the idea of starter strips because it allows the bees to build comb, the comb that they want to build. So I generally put a starter strip in early in the season, every second or third frame that I might be putting into a colony. Foundation that we buy, sheets of foundation, full sheets of foundation, the cell size in those is larger than the bees would naturally draw in the wild. So using a starter strip allows the bees to build comb that they want to build. Now, some of you may have tried starter strips already, but not have had a whole lot of success with them, simply because, and I've had this experience myself, that a starter strip on its own, and by the way, a starter strip is simply just a strip of foundation about an inch wide across the top bar, with the rest of the frame left vacant for the bees to draw comb. I found myself that the bees would build an arched hanging piece of comb and essentially not bring it down to the bottom bar or fill out to the sides, and essentially you would have this arched piece of comb that was unsupported. And certainly at the early stages, the comb would be very flimsy. So when you'd be working the hives, carrying out your inspections, if you took out the frame, if you tilted it in any way, the comb would buckle, possibly even break off, creating a great mess and always aggravating the bees. Also, as well as that, I've had issues with comb being built crossways, so sort of against the flow of your frames, so that would obviously then leave it very difficult to work, and just generally made the whole experience of inspecting your colonies difficult. But I found that if I divided the frames into 3 segments using bamboo skewers, simple bamboo skewers that you can get in a pound shop, I got much better results. So your starter strip is there as normal, a 1-inch strip of foundation, but you divide the frame into these 3 sections. And what I would find is that the bees would draw each section almost as an individual frame or an individual section, and so they might draw 2 sections of drone and the middle section as worker, or 2 sections as worker and 1 of drone, and so on. Any number of combinations that you want to think of. But essentially, they would draw fill the frame. And hopefully during the summer I'll get to show you some of where frames where it would have started off with a starter strip using this method. And you'll see that the bees generally fill out the whole frame. With the 2 skewers in place, it gives a bit of rigidity to the comb. The bees will generally, initially they might build the sections and avoid the sticks, but then they'll eventually cover them in and kind of weld everything together and fill the frame entirely. And you have that rigidity then in your comb. It's essentially like using wired foundation, but because you haven't used foundation, essentially you have allowed the bees to draw the comb and the cell size that they want to draw. The other issue I had with just starter strips was that the bees would, by and large, would just draw nothing, only drone comb. Once they got beyond the starter strip itself, they would draw drone comb. So this meant you had excessive amounts of drone comb. I mean, I promote drone comb in my colonies, but I don't necessarily want excessive amounts of it. So I find with this method, the bees are less likely to fill the entire frame with drone comb. As I said, they'll draw it in sections, and they'll usually do 2 sections of worker and 1 of drone, or maybe 2 of drone, but at least you don't have those excessive amounts. Now what I generally do is I put 1 starter frame in for every 2nd or 3rd frame. It depends on the time of year, depends on how strong the colony is as well, and I do find that the earlier you put the starter strips in, the better results you'll get. If you put them in later in the season, yes, you're more likely to get more drone comb on a frame. But that doesn't really pose much of an issue then, because if you want to cut out some of the drone comb, there is the possibility that the bees will draw it back as worker comb, which again, going back to just simply having the starter strip in its own without these skewers, I found that when I'd cut out drone comb, bees just drew it back as a full sheet of drone comb. So yeah, so look at, if you're thinking of giving starter strips a try, or if you've tried them before just on their own and you haven't had much success, try this method out, see how it goes. Again, just remember, try and do it earlier in the year, you know, in the early spring, when the bees want to draw that fresh new comb. You will get, more than likely you will get, certainly the majority of it as worker comb. So thanks for watching this week's video. If you liked the video so far, please like and subscribe and give a thumbs up, and if you have any questions, put them in the comments and I'll try and answer them. As I've said in previous videos, I will try to get a video out every week. And yeah, so in the meantime, thanks for watching, and bye for now.